the way the industry was treating hip hop culture to me, that shit didn't work for me. You know what I mean? So instead of me complaining about, because see, a lot of these dudes, they sit around complaining about shit all day, man. It's just like, I'm not doing that. Listen, man, we're not gonna sit around the dinner table hungry when I can go out in the woods and figure some shit out. I'm not gonna sit around hungry complaining with my ribs touching. So Rock the Bells, we're not just a channel on Sirius XM, which obviously we've spearheaded this whole resurgence of timeless hip hop. Like, if you think about it, if you just go back 8 years, 7, 8 years, maybe 9 years prior to Rock the Bells, a classic and timeless hip hop artist was considered completely passe, completely not interesting, not relevant. Nobody wants to go near it. Nobody cares. It has to be this thing, this new thing, or nothing, right? And as you've seen over time, that has changed. And now the attitudes have changed. Like, there are young people who understand that there are people that are going to love Common. Like, you're not going to change that. You loving this artist is not going to make them not love this artist they grew up with. And I think that's a healthy thing. Well, what I did with Rock the Bells was I made a decision. I felt like people were being commoditized. I felt like hip hop artists were being chewed up and spit out. It's like, you know, Wu-Tang Clan should be able to be respected forever. You don't say, okay, because Wu-Tang Clan hit this now, I have to only listen to Central C. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with listen. I love Lil Baby. I love, you know, Duggar, I love Gunna, and we should listen to all of that. But I'm saying that doesn't mean that Raekwon and Meth and Ghost shouldn't have their place in hip hop. Like, again, if we have Bruce Springsteen and Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney and all of these, why can't these guys and these women, why can't Queen Latifah have a new album? Why can't MC Lyte have a new album? Why why can't Nicki Minaj in 10 years have a new album? So that was the thinking, right? So it's like, how do I do something? What can I do about that? So I started the channel, and then that taught me there was a big opportunity to really lift up these artists. So we have merch, you know, all over the country, licensing deals and with major, you know, distributors around the world. Like, I'm doing everything I can to really lift up these timeless artists and make it great for them. You know, so when you see, you know, Dre and all of them at the Super Bowl, there's a reason why that was back in vogue. And that's because of the work that we did at Rock the Bells. When you see, you know, Nas, you know, going out and doing the things he's doing with classic hip hop, that's because of the tone that we set with Rock the Bells. And all of that is good. Like, that was the point. That was the point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so funny because this word is, but it's about externalities, right? By me doing that, by me doing Rock the Bells and really focusing on that and making it great for these artists, it makes it better for the whole genre. So now we're at a place, you know, after the 50 years of hip hop and all the work we've done, now everybody's a resurgence. Oh, this one's making an album. That one's making an album. You're welcome. And that was my goal. That was my goal, because I believe that we should, you know, look, let's just call it what it is. Black artists should be able to thrive and mature and grow, and we shouldn't have to be dismissed just because we want to make room for someone else. That means that we have a limited mindset. Don't limit our culture to you can only have a new thing. No, we can have artists that are like Mick Jagger, and we can have artists that are brand new. And it doesn't mean that I want to exclude anyone. I love M. He's on my new album. I have no problem with M, you know, like MGK. Like, it's not about, you know, like an issue. It's just that the way the industry was treating hip hop culture to me, that shit didn't work for me. You know what I mean? So instead of me complaining about, because see, a lot of these dudes, they sit around complaining about shit all day, man. It's just like, I'm not doing that. Listen, man, we're not gonna sit around the dinner table hungry when I can go out in the woods and figure some shit out. I'm not gonna sit around hungry complaining with my ribs touching on no level. So it's that simple, you know what I mean? So it's like, yo, let's go get to it, man. You know what I mean? And so I did that, and now you got guys with residencies, you got artists making records, you got everybody back. Like, it's obvious. Look, me announcing early on I'm doing a record with Q-Tip is why a Common would want to get with a Pete Rock. You know what I'm saying? It's why, even Nas would he was rocking with Hit Boy and he says, you know what, I'm going to get with Primo, get reacquainted with Primo, right? Like we all kind of inspire each other and that's better for the genre. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. And that's what Rock the Bells does. And then if brands want to talk to, our community, Rock the Bells can help them do that in an authentic way. You know what I'm saying? So Chris Lighty was an amazing guy. He was an executive. It's funny, because see, you got to remember, because I've been doing this so long, I didn't meet Chris the way most people would think about Chris as an executive. He was an intern when I met Chris, and I was already a couple of albums deep, 2-3 albums in. So, even though we were the same age, I got on at 16, so I was a little kid in the game. So when I'm 20 and he's 20, or when I'm 19 and he's not, like I'm already been doing this a long time. But he was smart, he was talented, he was creative. He was, he started Violator. Violator was based on some dudes that was beating everybody ass in the Bronx, but he took that and turned it into a management company. He was a pillar in the hip hop community. I think he had a lot to do with keeping New York hip hop in a strong place. Of course, it should expand. It should expand not only to America, but even globally. I mean, you see, Central C and Ice Spice now. I mean, things are changing, and that's, you see Storm Z, you see, so it's not only gone regionally, but globally. It's, expanded, which is a beautiful thing. But Chris was definitely the dude. And my manager right now, Claudine, she was actually initially Chris's assistant. She started off as an assistant with Chris, working with him and, and with Mona Scott, who has all the Love and Hip Hop shows and all of that. So Chris was brilliant, man, the May 8th man, you know what I'm saying? Like he was, man, we used to, I used to see him, what's up, Mr. Smith? You know what I'm saying? Yo, Chris is so funny, man. We go eat shit, like we did the doing it, like my song, doing it and doing it and doing, like all that. I represent Queens. She was raised out in Brooklyn. All that. I did that with Chris. You know what I'm saying? Lounging. You know what I'm saying? So he was amazing. In terms of the light, you got to follow your intuition, man. You got to have courage. You know what I'm saying? Like, I dropped out of school in the 9th grade. You know what I'm saying? 9th grade, like, but early in the 9th grade. Not even, I'm talking about like, October. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like fucking early, right? Like, so, and I asked my mother, I said, Ma, because, my family, cops, educators, all kind of, people that are accomplished in a lot of ways, relatively speaking, because they ain't had that much money, but, but a lot of this. And so I said, Mom, why you let me drop out of school? She said, because I felt like you was young enough to go back and I wanted you to go after your dream because you was passionate about it. So having the courage to go after your dreams is a big piece, but to go after your dream, you got to be willing to follow that light. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have intuitive leanings, like in their intuition will tell them to do something, and then they'll let their mind talk them out of it. They'll be like, oh, I was going to do this, and then they'll say, nah, but this, and they'll start rationalizing why they shouldn't do what their spirit is telling them to do. I don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like if my intuition tells me, yo, put on that green shirt, right? Like I'm simplifying it, but if it tells me put on that green shirt, I'm not there. I'm gonna sit there and think, oh, but everybody's gonna wear yellow and I'm gonna be staying. No. I'm putting the green shirt on. You feel me? And I think that because that's one of the most powerful tools you have in your toolbox. You know what I'm saying? And a part of that is like intuition. They say prayer is you talking to God. Intuition is God talking to you. So that's why I follow that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have faith in God. You know what I'm saying? It works. Christ consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. 3 keys you got to follow. I'd say following your intuition. 2, I would say you got to be willing to be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? And the vulnerability that I'm talking about is not weakness and crying on with your head in somebody's lap. I'm talking about in order to win, you have to risk losing, B. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like, do you want the last shot? You know, in the basketball game, right? Metaphorically speaking. It's like people, like if you think about it, the winners take the last shot, but they're also putting themselves in a position to look stupid or to be ridiculed because if they miss the last shot, everybody, you missed the last shot. I don't care about that. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go for mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it ain't I remember seeing Raisin in the Sun on Broadway. Like, I'm not standing around like talking about I'm going to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all about going to get it, man. I don't play at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I want to go get it. So is that, and then I think it's understanding, know where to draw the line and be open-minded and be humble enough to let people help you. You know what I'm saying? And being open-minded. I think you need some humility, you know, because, but I'm not talking about fake humility. I'm not talking about that shit. Like I see these artists, they fucking bowing to me and shit. I'm like, what are you bowing me for? You're not even that great, bro. What are you bowing to me for? You don't have to bow to me, all this old shit. Like, you know, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like real humility. Like, what's your opinion? What do you think? Oh, I agree or I disagree. You know what I'm saying? Hearing people out and loving people too. You know what I'm saying? Like, people ain't gonna care about you if you don't care about them, man. You know what I'm saying? And the way the game works, you know, I know we don't always want it to be like this, but the reality is you gotta care first. You know what I'm saying? The right way. And I'm not talking about the wrong way, the right way. You gotta care first. So your actions gotta speak to that. You know what I'm saying? So that to me is a big part of it. And then you gotta work hard. There's a lot of things to it, man. You gotta have tough skin. You know what I'm saying? You can't be one of these people that like, somebody says something about you and now you got to curl up in a ball with, you know, two thumbs in your mouth and a, you know, a warm electric blanket and some hot cocoa because you're upset because, Johnny doesn't like your single, that was a snide remark on the internet, you know. I know we live in a sensitive time and I respect that. At the same time, you have to, and I know people have things that happen that are legitimate, and can be traumatic, but, you got to kind of manage that trigger shit, man. Like, don't be too triggered. Some of that shit, put that gun away, man. You're a little too triggered, man. Like, you have to, toughen up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't just, so I think that's a big part of it to me. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I Need Love was a song that I did at a time, and it was basically the first, for all intents and purposes, it was the first real romantic love rap song in hip hop, right? Like I introduced a lot of that stuff to the game. A lot of shit, jewelry, the GOAT term. I could go through the list of things, but that was one of the things that I helped bring to the game. And so at that time, there was a lot of people who was like, oh, you making a love song, this and that, and they would criticize. I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, my intuition told me to do, I do what I want to do, man. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of times it's like, you'll find that, so I Need Love was a romantic joint. I thought at the time that Rick was not too excited about it. He was like, if you like it that much, put it out first. But I put out I'm Bad, the song at that time first. And everything ended up doing really well. But yeah, that was a moment. You know what I'm saying? That was definitely a moment where there was a lot of, like I'm a little nuts with certain shit. Like, I'll tell you, like they're little things, like, like people like, yo, because I'm from the hood. So I know how dudes think, right? Like, yo, L got those wide pants on in that video. Why you doing that? As soon as I heard that, I started wearing them shits every day. yo, why? Oh, I started leaning in this shit. Oh, you don't like the love song? Make 4 of them joints. Make 4 of them joints, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Yo, why your car purple? Yo, give me another purple joint, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let these people, and if I don't want to do it, I don't do it. But what I'm saying basically is you can't let people dictate to you what they want you to do based on how they feel about their lives. That's your life. Do what you want to do. It's cool. We love you for it, baby. We love it for you. You know what I'm saying? So the moment that kind of like pushed me to kind of lean in, the first time I ever rapped in public, because remind you, I became a fan of hip hop at around 8, 9. Listening to every day one thing that ever happened from the beginning, from the Cold Crush, Force MCs to Mel, Flash, Treacherous, Fearless, all the groups that a lot of these people won't know, or some won't know, right? So I listened to all the early shit. Then at 11, I started, at about 8 or 9, I was rapping along. At 11, I started tinkering. And at around 11 or 12, I started writing my own rhymes. So I've been rhyming for maybe 2, 3 years. I was about maybe, I don't know, maybe I was 12, 13, something like that. And the first time I rapped, I was in the basement of a church. And this girl, it was a very sparse crowd. It was probably maybe, I don't know, maybe 11 people in there, little basement church, spewing shit. Church basement, you know what I'm saying? So I'm in there rapping. When I finished, and it was echoing and I'm rapping, this girl comes over to me, I'm up on the stage because it was a little stage in the church, in the basement. She says, "Boy, you can't rap." That's all I needed to hear. I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Nah." She's like, "Nah, you can't rap." I said, "Okay." That was it. That was it. That's all I needed, man. That's all I needed, B. That's all I needed. I'm an animal. That's all I needed. It was beautiful. And I'll tell you another time, like, I remember right before my record came out, I Need a Beat. I finished it. I recorded it. I'm on Def Jam. I'm the first artist. The neighborhood, though, doesn't really necessarily believe me. So we had a block party. I'm rapping. I'm like maybe 15, 16. I'm rapping. And at the end, I'm like, "Yo, and my new record coming out in November." You know what I'm saying? So another dude grabs the mic right after I get off the mic. "Stop lying." And the whole block laughed at me. The whole fucking block. And they just started laughing. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, and then I remember seeing that dude maybe 3, 4 months later, and I wasn't like all the way up, but I had caught a little money, and I saw him in the one of the outlet stores and shit, and I had the shopping bags up on the counter, and all that, and I remember him looking at me, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I just remember looking at him and him looking at me and us just standing there, and it was just like a moment at the register. And he was standing there, and he obviously was window shopping. He wasn't buying shit. And I just remember putting my stuff in my bag and just looking at him. And the record was out. It was cooking. And that felt pretty fucking good, bro, I must admit. That felt really, really good. That felt great. That was phenomenal. I'll tell you one more, too, just for the hell of it. So I was at a tour. I'm not going to tell you who, because I don't want to embarrass the artist, but this was a well-known, really, really well-known popular hip-hop artist. They were in a group. So I was, maybe about 16 at this time, and they were on tour. And so I came backstage, and he was standing up, he was on the side, a few girls. He got his group with him, and he's like sitting up on some shit all cocky, and he's looking at me. He's like, "Yo, LL." I'm like, "What up, man?" He said, "What you doing here? Don't nobody know you?" I said, "Oh, I'm just coming to, see the show, do the show, man." It bothered me, you know what I'm saying? I was like, "Oh, he's trying to play me." I said, "Okay." So about 3 years later, maybe 3, 4 years later, my shit's on fire. Peter, don't be mad at me. I walk in the club, I got a mink on, I got fucking, diamonds everywhere, mink. I got like 4 girls with me, I got champagne, my man with me, all types of people with me. I walk in and shit, and he was on the wall, and I seen him, I walked on, it was like, and I stopped, I backed up. I'm like, "Yo, what you doing here, man? I don't know I know you." That motherfucker, and he was tight. His shirt fitting different. Clothes, you know how Nipsey talk about how they clothes change? His motherfucking clothes had changed. That was like, that shit was like a 2-year-long orgasm. You know what I mean? Just telling him that. And I'm just keeping it real. It was petty as fuck, but I loved every minute of it. I can't lie to you. It just felt great because he was a fucking asshole. And he needed that. And I gave it to him. I gave him every inch. He needed that shit. My pause. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. So a wild tour story. So probably one that's funny that I can talk about is I was in Scotland. I was on tour. We was over in Scotland. And this is like, mid 80s or something like that, right? And at that time over there, when they like your music, when you really hot, they spit on the stage. But we didn't know that was complimentary at that time. Like, we didn't understand culturally what was going on. So my man got insulted, and he jumped off the stage and jumped in the crowd. punched the dude in the face, and then we started fighting. We was fighting the arena, and my man Bobcat. The funny part is my man Bobcat. He was at that time on the road with us. He was the only dude from Cali on the road with us, and he was in the middle of Scotland. He was a Crip. You know, and he was in the middle of Scotland, rolling 40 Crip, and he's in the middle of Scotland on the stage throwing up gang signs, and he's the only, LA, gang member there. And it was just like, we all look back on it like, because he was just, he was calling for his people, and it was like he was by himself. So that's probably like the wildest shit. Gang signs in Scotland, you know what I'm saying, with no gang. That was pretty wild. You know what I'm saying? And I'm coming from Queens, Bob coming from, Cali, like, we over there, we run around like we don't, like, this is ridiculous. Like, listen, man, I don't know no brothers that's, all that spitting, like, you talk about a problem, like, spitting, that damn near might be worse than, like, putting your hands on somebody. I'm not sure. That's debatable. Like, so it was like, we just didn't understand that shit. And my man Earl, and he was like real slow to fight. You know what I'm saying? And Earl, for the record, when you look at the Public Enemy logo of the rap group, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame group, Public Enemy, that logo is my man E-Love. Chuck D took a photo of my hype man, his silhouette, and made that his logo. You know what I'm saying? So when you see the Public Enemy logo, that's E-Love. And E-Love, the guy in that logo, is the one who jumped off the stage and, punched the dude in the face. Then we start fighting, and they're insulted, because they don't understand. It was crazy. You know what I mean? So it was, that shit was nuts. One industry moment that I thought was funny is that, as I was, maybe 16, 17 years old, and I'm backstage at, Diana Ross, the glam with the, this is Beyonce before Beyonce. Diana Ross was, back in the days, and, I'm backstage. I'm like 16, 17 years old. She had a special. She was one of the first. She actually was the first person to put me on television. She gave me some help, right? So I'm watching Berry Gordy slapbox Muhammad Ali backstage. And I'm like sitting there, and Diana's going, "Oh, Berry." And Berry's like, that was a moment when I was like, how did I get here? Because 5 minutes before that, I was on the corner with a 40. You know what I mean? So it was like just seeing things like that, you know what I'm saying? And obviously throughout the years, I know lots of people and seen lots of things, but that was a moment that was bananas for me. Like this Muhammad Ali, like one of the greatest figures ever, slapboxing with the founder of Motown backstage. I'm like, I just never thought I would see no shit like that. You know what I mean? That was pretty wild. I mean, I've had so many unbelievable moments with Jay. I mean, Run DMC took me on tour. You know what I'm saying? And put me under their wing in a lot of ways. I was, the reason why I developed this into such a strong artist, even with the live stuff, is because I had to, basically go against two guys and Run DMC every night by myself, which was really a different time then. It was crazy. So, Jay, it's just too many stories to name. Where do I start? We weren't like, it wasn't a mentor-mentee relationship. Me and Jay we saw ourselves as equals. I did have more of a mentor-mentee relationship with DMC, uniquely enough. He was the one that would put his arm around me and treat me more like a younger brother. But me and Jay were kind of more like here. Even though he was a little older, just the way we vibed, it was more like, it was, it just wasn't like that. But, I just learned so much from them. I'll tell you one thing that was one little interesting tidbit. People may be familiar, but a long time ago, I made a song called Rock the Bells, a long time ago. And many, many years ago, Run DMC made a song. They had this song called Peter Piper. And so, everybody can Google Peter Piper and they can Google Rock the Bells if they're not familiar, right? And so the beat for Peter Piper was originally supposed to be for my song Rock the Bells. But me and Jay being from the same neighborhood, we have the same influences. He took the Mardi Gras beat, and I had already told Rick Rubin what I wanted to do. And Jay ran and did it with Rick, with Run DMC. So I had to make all these different versions of Rock the Bells, my song, to try to figure out how to get it right, because Jay jumped and used Mardi Gras. So people can Google it and get the history and the facts. I mean, day one people, of course, know. But for those who are a little younger who don't quite get it, they should Google it and check it out. It's very interesting the way it went. You know what I'm saying? In terms of, the thing that DMC taught me is that we're going to have a long career. You know, I remember, driving in the car with him and he was like, L, we're on our 4th album. I'm like, yeah, yeah. He said, so we'll definitely have a 9th album. He made me think about things long term. DMC, plus he was very meticulous. He's like a neat freak. So everybody else's room looked like a tornado or hurricane, and 15 Rottweilers ran through their room with everything you could think of. And DMC's room would be like pristine, like he had a butler and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I go in there and, so he taught me how to be meticulous and, keep your shit in order. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's a very smart guy. There's a reason why Run DMC is who they are. That's not an accident. That doesn't happen. You don't go to certain heights by accident, B. You may get a hit by accident, but you're not going to have a career unless inside of you is as big as the career that you're building. You know what I'm saying? So D is very smart dude. So yeah, that's my man. So funny, man. The funniest thing I could think about with MCA is him kicking me. We was at his backstage, and I don't know if he was drunk or he was twisted or something, but I just remember us talking and him just like, he was like laying on some speaker equipment or something and he kicked me. And then you would think, the first thing in your mind, you would think, oh, Ella and them started fighting, but the shit was so funny to me that I couldn't stop laughing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could have easily jumped on him and went crazy, but it was just so funny to me that this guy had the audacity to fucking kick me. It tickled the shit out of me. And we got along forever after that. And the thing about also is that you got to remember Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys is the guy who heard my demo tape and gave my demo to Rick Rubin. And him giving that tape to Rick Rubin is how ultimately Def Jam, the label, was started. There was a Def Jam Productions had a song out called It's Yours, and it was on a label called Streetwise and Party Time. The song's by Tila Rock. It was the first time you saw the Def Jam logo. I bought that record and I sent the demo in, you know what I'm saying, to Rick Rubin. And Rick and Russell Simmons ended up starting Def Jam, and I was the first artist on Def Jam. So that's kind of like one of the things that, so when you see Def Jam and you hear about Def Jam and all the various artists that came later, it was me, Rick, and Russell that kind of, started that and got that rolling, you know what I'm saying? So that was a vibe. But if you look at the original I Need a Beat, I actually went to the test pressing and wrote on it. You know what I'm saying? You can look at the vinyl and it says Def Jam 001, you know what I'm saying? And like we wrote in the margins because at that time you would get when the test pressing was still a little warm, you could write on it before it hardened, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, I forget exactly what I wrote, but I signed them joints too. It was crazy, you know what I'm saying? And Def Jam just exploded and turned into a whole nother thing. And in a little tidbit, like the first songs we did was independent. So the first couple of songs we did on Def Jam was independent. Then we went and got a deal with CBS. You know what I'm saying? It got distribution. So Def Jam was an independent label. Then it became this major thing that people know about today. Rihanna, all these different artists and all that. The origin story for the whole record was me having a dream about Phife Dawg from A Tribe Called Quest. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many memorable moments. I think probably the first thing is just that, me just calling him, and just, having that dream. Phife Dawg from A Tribe Called Quest visited me in a dream. And, and after I had that dream, it just kind of stuck with me. So I decided to call Q-Tip. And he was like, what's up? I was like, yo, I want to do an album. You know what I'm saying? Because I always follow my intuition and my leanings, like my whole life, my whole career. I always listen to my intuition. If it tell me to leave the party, I'm leaving the party. It tell me to make a right, I'm making a right. Tell me to make a left, I'm making a left. Tell me don't call that person right now, I ain't calling that person right now. You know what I'm saying? So I called Tip up. I'm like, yo, what up? He's like, what up, big bro? What you want? What's up? I said, I want to do an album. He said, what kind of album you want to do? I said, I want to do the blackest pickle juice, hot sauce, crispy skin chicken, fucking goddamn, shit. Tabasco Red Devil bottle, just pimentos and the potato salad ass record. You know what I'm saying? He's like, yo, he like, word? I'm like, yeah. So he said, say less. So we went in the studio, man, and it just kind of, it clicked. And it's really exciting because, you know, a lot of times, like, people like to compare hip hop and sports metaphorically, and on some levels that's true. But the difference is that with art, you know, experience is your friend. And time helps you if you pay attention and you stay curious. It's like cooking. It's like getting into bed with somebody. Like, more experience helps, doesn't hurt. So whereas in sports, you know what I'm saying, the age and experience can work against you. You know, when you're in that kitchen, it's just like when you're in the kitchen and you see the lady and her arms is doing this, you like, the lady with the arm, you're like, yeah, that's it. You know what that's about to be. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so that kind of works for you. You know what I'm saying? So me getting in the studio, this is an opportunity for a new generation. Not only my day one fans, who I always think about them first, but it's an opportunity for another generation, a couple of years younger, a couple of generations younger, to experience new LL music, but at a high level, where I'm not distracted by TV, where I'm not doing this, where I'm not doing that, where I'm actually making an album for the culture. So I like that challenge. I love the idea of, because our culture's not used to us being able to continue. We look at Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones across the street, and we're comfortable with that. We all know, oh yeah, they're still relevant. They're doing their thing, right? And we can, in our minds, we're comfortable with that. In hip hop, we're still in that weird space where we think you either have to be all the way brand new, on fire, or, you know, 10, 15-year range, or you just have to be on the cover of magazines for your business endeavors, but there's no kind of middle ground for you to be an artist anymore. And I disagree with that. I think that we can continue to make, you know, artistic contributions, you know what I'm saying, your entire career. I mean, Michael Jackson started at 8. He was making hits at 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's no reason why you can't continue. It's just a matter of, do you care enough to stay engaged? Because a lot of times, a lot of artists, what happens is they think they know every damn thing. So they don't want to grow creatively. They don't want to work on their pen game. They don't want to work on the things that would make them better as artists. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to take the time and the dedication to focus and get better at the craft. You know what I'm saying? So time passes by. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, no one would ever say, oh, the painter can still paint. Like that, oh, a sculptor can still sculpt. But then they'll turn around and say, oh, he can still rap. It's fucking ridiculous. But it makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Because you have to continue to work at your craft. So that was kind of like the exciting part. So in the studio, just it coming together was amazing. You know what I'm saying? You know? And I remember one time we was messing around, and me and Tip was just messing around the studio, and I had said a couple of bars, and we just, for some reason, we just decided to go live and just play a little bit of it. And I just played a little bit of it, and I saw a couple of comments and people giggling, and I said, oh, they don't think I could do this shit. And it kind of completely changed my mindset. It was just like, oh, okay. So you don't think this could really go down? Like, you think I'm kidding? You know, it's like kind of like now I make a sports analogy. It's kind of like the guy you know as an announcer, and you've known him as an announcer your whole life, but you don't realize what he could do with that ball in his hand. You forget. There's a reason why he's announcing, but you know a lot, but you weren't exposed to that, so you underestimate what that is. But for me, that's the juice. You know what I'm saying? That's the shit that gets me off. You know what I mean? Like, I love that type of shit. You know what I mean? Just before I worked with Tip, I did about 30 or 40 songs with Dr. Dre, right? And I felt like the beats were like magnifico, but I didn't like the songs I was writing. I wasn't living up to my end of the bargain, and that was bothering me. So I literally had to take a step back and say, okay, what the fuck's going on here? Why is this sound? And I had to go back and teach myself how to rap again. It's the equivalent of a basketball player working on their left hand over the summer, or working on their 3-point line, you know, their mid-range jumper over the summer. Or it's the reason why you see a ball player go and do 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 layups, 4,000 jump shots, 5,000 threes. Like, and it sounds like it's diabolical. It's funny. The internet's funny. It got it all in my head. It sounds maniacal and diabolical, but I really wanted to do that to get better. So that was the energy was that once I started really working on that, the way the music started sounding to me was like, yeah, this is what I want to hear. Like I was able to I was able to execute what I was feeling as opposed to it not matching. I wanted that I guess it needed to be congruent. You know what I'm saying? There needed to be a congruence there, you know what I'm saying, between what I was feeling and what the music was saying. So that energy was crazy. And then the force is an acronym. Frequency is a real creative energy, right? So it's like, like even, in the passion video behind me, there's some graphics behind me, and most people would think that they're random, but they're not. Those graphics are called cymatic frequencies. And cymatic frequencies are, scientists have done experiments and been able to create matter from sound. You know what I'm saying? Utilizing cymatic frequencies. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like the idea of bringing matter to life through sound was like a real powerful idea for me. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the passion joint because of things I've done in my career. And so the album, Frequencies of Real Creative Energy, it's about vibrating at that level, you know what I'm saying? Without belaboring it and without trying to make it all extra deep and drive people, be at the cocktail party with the goddamn table of elements talking that bullshit all night. You know what I'm saying? But it just, so that was the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like listen, to me, you have to allow yourself to grow as an artist and evolve and do some different shit. And there's more to talk about. Like, yeah, I like money and I like talking about it, and I do sprinkle some of that in the record, and there's I'm popping some shit in there. But there has to be more to life than that for me as a songwriter. Like, I don't lead with my wallet. I don't even lead with my fame. You know what I'm saying? Todd created LL. LL didn't create Todd. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I wanted to talk about some shit that was interesting to me and that actually meant something. And so that's where it was at. You know what I'm saying? Because it would have been easy to go get, whoever the hottest producer is for a 20-year-old right now and just keep it moving, you know what I mean? And go, hey, you know what I'm saying? And just, cross my fingers and shit. You know what I mean? But to do it this way felt like it'll age better. You know what I'm saying? Because it matches where I'm at as a man, as opposed to me. I didn't try to make a boy record and I didn't try to make an old record. I just made a man record. I made who I am. You dig? What up? It's your man LL Cool J. You're checking out 24/7 HH, baby. You know what I mean? Peace.